That's how you increase your portfolio. That's how you increase your standing within your company.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Jörg, which is German for George, here at Fajik. Find a job in Germany, in Berlin. With me today is Hussein. And those of you who have maybe already watched the first part of our success story video, this is the second part. In the first one, we talked about how Hussein essentially found a job, his experience in the tech rounds, the skills that are required for data scientists to bring to the table in order to not just be considered for interviews, but then also eventually be hired. And in this second part, we're now going to focus on his life in Germany, his new job, of course. Hussein, you've been here in Germany now for 10 months already, so you have a little bit of a different perspective. Not just arrived yesterday, where everything is bloomy, shiny, shiny, but you've also already had your couple of ups and downs, which, let's be transparent, is part of the game, right?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So when you move here, the experience that you have in the starting months, maybe, it's a little tough moving away from your family, moving away from your home. Of course, it's a little tough, but when you settle in, when you do like all your basic things, it gets better, and then eventually it gets great.
You came from Karachi to Berlin now. I usually say people in your first 6 months, that's the probationary period, which you passed already with flying colors. There's two things that you need to take care of. First, pass probation. Second, make friends. How did that go?
So passing probation was again like not that difficult. I think like everyone in my company is very friendly. They're all very helpful. So it wasn't easy at the start, but eventually I got a grip of like all the things because like again when I started my job again at the start all the tools are different, the tech is different, so it takes a while to learn that. But once you're over that learning curve, then you just need to deliver on all the projects, and you just need to have a trust in your skill set. If your skill set is good, if you're motivated, there's no reason why you won't pass your probation period unless and until your company isn't doing well. But now speaking about Berlin, the first 6 months, let me start with actually the first month. So like Dan, the first month is always the toughest. You move here, the climate is very different from where I come from, and I think the first month there will be a lot which will be thrown at your face. So number one, you will have to go to the government offices. You will have to get some government stuff done. So you have to get your enmelding done. You have to do a couple of other
Mm,
things which are probably I'm not even remembering now. And then I think the other big thing is looking for an apartment. So if your
yeah.
company is covering your apartment, that's great. But if not, I think this is another whole full-time job, except for the full-time job that you already have, because finding an apartment is not easy, especially in a city like Berlin. The good thing for me was that I was given a company apartment for the first 3 months, so I was a little more relaxed on that front. I was a little covered. Um, and then also the other thing is my company is also covering my relocation process. So, you like everything. So when I came here, all my government documents, the green card process, so everything is being looked at by my company. Eventually, after the first 3 months, all of these processes were done. I found my apartment, and that is where you try to go out. You try to go out, see the city a bit more. You try to meet different people. You make friends. You will find people from different backgrounds, and you will find people with similar interests. Yeah, it's a given that even if you have like a very niche interest, you will find similar minded people in Berlin. And that's what happened with me. I went out in the city, joined a few clubs, and now I meet them on a weekly basis. So
Awesome.
it's been great so far.
Awesome. Awesome. Just to cover the apartment aspect, that is very true. We do have a shortage in apartments, and we don't need to sugarcoat anything here, which we aren't. And I understand there's a lot of people on this YouTube channel of ours that like to, of course, point that out. There is, of course, a big investment in coming to Germany and settling here. The workaround that we generally recommend is you want to really mobilize some serious funds, especially for the first 6 months, simply because coming to another country is a life-changing decision. You don't just want to be running short when it comes to funds. Whoever can help you with that should be a resource or a source. Furnished places for the first 1 to 3 months generally provide a good starting point. You can go register yourself for you to get your ducks in a row with all the paperwork. And then after 3 months, and we understand those apartments are costly, and you had some luck here, so that's great. After that time, you can start looking for something more permanent, which is generally unfurnished. Or if you're single, you can totally move in with somebody. That is also how you're able to network. I don't know, are you living by yourself now? Are you living with somebody?
I'm living by myself.
By yourself, wonderful. Where do you live in Berlin? Which district? Which neighborhood?
Um, Oberschöneweide. So
All
it's in
right, okay.
Köpenick district.
Okay, so that's also not far away from the river and so forth.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in
Right close to it.
general, and you nicely pointed that out. It's all about getting your ducks in a row, settling step by step by step, and making friends is something, of course, there is something for everyone in the city. You may be wondering from your perspective that you are just by yourself all alone. That is evidently not true. And you can bet your bottom that there's always somebody right now in the exact same situation as you.
Okay.
You just need to find the person. And that's, of course, the time investment that you need to make and commit to. Let's talk about your company. You just said in the before we start the recording that you're going to Portugal now in next week, is that, or in a couple of weeks for a retreat?
Yep. So end of August, basically. Yeah. So in a couple of
Nice, nice. And that's where everybody comes together and you get to meet people in person for the first time that you've only met online so far.
yeah, yeah. And also looking forward to the guy who hired me. So my boss is actually in US. So I've never met him in person. So
Uh-huh.
like, really, really looking forward to meeting him and also like all of my other teammates that are based out of US.
Hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to the trip. I'm sure, like we'll have a good time. Hmm?
So can I ask, the people that hired you or the people that you were in the hiring process with that you met during those rounds, um, how many of those are you now actively working with at the Berlin office?
So in the Berlin office, we have around 20, 25 people, so not a lot of people.
Mm,
Most of the teams are based out in US.
okay,
And the team that I also started with, and my initial hiring manager was also from US because they want to make sure that like everyone is working in the same time zone. So everyone in Europe was moved to a European team. Everyone working out of US were moved within US teams. So we had a little reshuffling. But yeah, initially I was hired in a US team by a US manager. Yes.
okay, cool. What would you say is the most important thing when it comes to passing probation? Let's talk about the job now specifically.
Again, start in the starting weeks or maybe even in the starting months, the most important thing is to learn all the tools and all the techs that your new company is working on. And again, this was a learning curve for me as well, because from my previous job, when I came over here and when I started working, everything was different. So that takes a while. And again, it's different for everyone. It can take a couple of weeks. Sometimes it can also take a couple of months, depending on your role and your company. Just doing your projects well, being active, being available, being also more vocal. So, if you're doing something, if you have worked on a project, if you have delivered something, it's always good to, to go out in Slack channels, or, anything that your company is working with. So just go out and, just present yourself. Just don't be a person who is just like doing all the things that are given to you. Also try to, like step out of your comfort zone if you have time. Learn a few other things, talk to more people, try to help them out. Try to know more and more people. Try to also talk to other managers, because if they also know you, um,
Exactly.
yeah, they can also reach out to you if they're, let's say, like running short on resources. And that's how you increase your portfolio. That's how you increase your standing within your company. If you are doing your job well, and if you are also able to cover for other people, I think that's the best you can do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I would totally subscribe to that. And then there's such a charm in staying at home, working remotely, but especially in the first 6 months, you want to be there and you want to, have some face time with people. They want to know who you are. And naturally, this is for networking purposes. How often are you at the office really now on an average basis?
So I would say like around 3 days in a week.
Okay. And the other 2 days you get to work from
Work
home.
from home. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how would you generally rate the culture? What is something that you find specific? It doesn't have to be either positive or negative, just something noteworthy.
For me, actually, it was so when I first stepped into my office for the very first day, um, what I saw was different faces from different backgrounds. So actually, for me, there's actually no German in my company. It is
Okay.
Turkish, Russian, Indians, Pakistani. So, and this was something that I wasn't expecting. So, first day into my office, I see like all of these different faces and they're coming from different backgrounds. So, so just like initially, just sitting with them, hearing their stories, everyone has a different story of how they moved into different country, into different company, into different industry. So, just sitting with them initially, hearing their stories. I think that was my first couple of months when everyone comes from a different background and everyone has made that journey from a different country. You find similarities as well,
Mhm.
right? And when you find similar minded people who have been on a similar journey, the culture always gets good because everyone realizes all the hardships that they face during their journey, and they want to make sure that if someone new is coming through the door, they're always there to help those people. And this is what I found in my case. When you're working from home and you are working through when you're working through a screen, some things are lost in translation. So
Mhm.
something, so you ask a specific question and that specific question get answered, but when you're actually talking to that person face to face, you you get your question answered, but you also then have the capability or the capacity to ask a few more things, or they will also tell you a few they will also tell you a few more things. So this happens a lot. It's been great for me to to meet similar minded people, to meet people who have been through the same journey, and them helping me out.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Now, we're a zero bullshit company. That means we need to talk about the downside of coming to Germany. We try to make sure everybody that comes to Germany also knows what they're really what is expected. Um, you said already before we started the recording, you still have some issues with people not being able to speak English, right? And your German skills are not at that level where you're able to speak
Yeah,
fluently with people.
yeah.
So how does that affect your daily life? I mean, your job is in English, your company's English speaking, that's all hunky dory, but then you also find, yeah, maybe you need to give it more time when it comes to German, or how do you level that, and how do you then, how can I picture you in the streets of Berlin when nobody's around that speaks English?
Um, so actually, the good thing with Berlin is that, especially when you are in the central areas, there are a lot of people who can speak English. So that is at least a good thing about Berlin. Um, but then again, like, I understand this. When you are moving to a country, you need to know their language if you actually want to integrate within the society, right?
Hmm.
It's impossible. So for me right now, I've been taking German classes.
Great.
Again, as I said, like if you want to integrate within the society, like speaking their language is a must, right? So, for example, I'll give like a very small, a very specific example. So, when you go to a market, and I'm not talking about like big supermarkets, like the Sunday market, the flea markets. When you go there, you can't talk,
Mm.
right? You can't negotiate with them. You don't get to like live through those experiences.
Mm.
And this is a known thing, right? So a language barrier, I think, like is like everyone knows this. So when they're moving to a new country, they're moving to a new city, a new society, then of course, like if you don't speak their language, of course it will be a little difficult to integrate within the society.
Mhm.
But yeah, again, like it's not easy to learn a new language, especially at this age. And of course, you have just moved. You have like a ton of things to do. You have a new job, so you also need to make sure that that you're doing well in your new job. But I think like eventually, when you feel a little settled, I would like encourage everyone to take up German classes and to like just learn the language.
I think you just essentially really put it down nicely. get your ducks in a row first, cover everything else that needs to be covered, and then after 6, 7, 8, 9 months, you really turn to that issue and you make that your project for the next 12 to 24 months,
Yeah.
and you will make accomplishments and you will get better. Um, I have to say, Berlin is somewhat of a tricky, case because there are just enough people that do speak English for a
Yeah.
lot of people to actually never learn it. The further you're moving into the city center, especially where your office is, you
Mm.
do not need German whatsoever. In
Yeah.
Mitte, Prenzlauer Berg, Kreuzberg, nobody speaks really. I mean, yes, there's people that speak German, but everybody knows English. Um, when you're ending up in a smaller city, and I know this for a fact from people that sometimes get jobs as C++ embedded engineers, very, very industry specific jobs, very, very highly specialized software boutique companies sometimes in areas in Germany that they've never heard of, with companies they've never heard of. Um, that's where you're really forced to learn German. They usually support you with that. They provide classes, etc., or they fund those classes. But it really is something that you need to take a look at when you get the offer. And then, of course, when you're about to move. And in this case, Berlin, that's really nice. There's a lot of English-speaking people. At the same time, it really does not hurt, even in a city like Berlin, to really also learn German. Um, this is what I generally tell everybody, essentially. Um, the thing with Germany, I think, is how I like to put it. Germany has 83, 84 million inhabitants. Population is around there. It's just enough for everything to be just sufficiently run in German. That's why you find so many jobs that are posted in German, because their end users, the customers, everybody just speaks German. When you're looking at the Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, all those countries, people speak so much better English also because they're smaller
Yeah.
and they are much more exposed to that. And there's a lot of more, let's say, you know, interaction with other, let's say, companies or with people that just speak English. Everybody, I think, should be aware of this. When you're in our coaching program, you don't go for German jobs in the first place. There's no need for that. There's no use in that, in fact. And also us, Hussein, we only apply together for English-speaking roles.
Yeah.
Once you're here, it will, of course, widen your options if you know German, definitely. But for now, I think you have a good company here that is also treating you well. That's very important. And finally, you still getting used to the climate. Is that also right?
Yeah. This is another thing because where I come from, it's always hot, right? So,
Uh-huh,
example, in Berlin, it's summer over here, and
uh-huh.
it's the same as the winter in Karachi. So 25 degrees during the day, that is our peak winter. So yeah, that is also something to be aware of, and again, just get some good clothes. Actually, I would actually advise people to just get enough to survive for the first few weeks, and then buy your clothes and buy your shoes when you get to Germany.
Because they're also adapted to
Yeah,
the conditions here. Exactly.
yeah.
Hussein, what would be your final advice? First of all, I'm going to split this into two parts. What would be your final advice to everybody out there as a data scientist looking for a job in Germany when it comes to the job hunting process, the interviewing process, the hiring process?
And also like specifically talking about data science jobs.
Mhm.
And I think like, we also discussed this in the first part that data science is an umbrella term. So I would say within data science, pick a niche and get really good at it.
Mhm.
When you're good at it, when you learn the tech, when you learn the concepts, then try to apply for those jobs because, like again, if you're working in a niche and if you are really really good at it, there's a chance that pool of candidates is also very less for that job. So that way, maybe you can stand out if you have that relevant experience. Um, and then other like very generic advice would be never lose your motivation. Just keep on applying, interviewing. Rejections will come, but like just be committed, just be very motivated, and eventually you will find a job. And I think like my other advice would be like, and this is like again like very generic advice, is to listen to you guys because you guys are the experts here. And whatever you guys say,
Thank you very much.
that
Thank
has
you
also
very
like
much.
worked this is also like what worked in my case. Like I listened to you guys, all the advices that you gave me, and eventually I got a job here. I moved here, and I'm very happy since I moved here. So yeah,
Wonderful.
that would be my advice.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And then major piece of advice for life in Germany, job in Germany, coming to Germany. What would that be from
Yeah.
the top of your head?
So just be very open-minded. Everything wouldn't be a walk in the park, especially in the first few months.
Mhm.
Just be open-minded that you know that once you move here, things will be different. The food will be different. The climate will be different.
Oh, yes.
Your interactions will with people will be very different as well. And just especially if you are moving to a small city, and we talked about this at length, just be prepared that you need to learn German eventually. So yeah, to just be like very, very open-minded that you know that things will be very different from where you're coming from. I know hopefully once you get here, these guys are also here to help you to help everyone settle in. So yeah, hopefully everything will go smooth.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you got the full package here. I mean, relocation support as well as an apartment. I can only say from experience, 10 to 15% of all the people that we've worked with do get that kind of treatment. And I call that 50 shades of relocation and visa sponsorship, because everybody talks about, I need a job with visa sponsorship. No, you don't. You need a job where a company gets you an employment contract. You can take care of relocation yourself if you have to, and we can also help you with that. But coming here, settling in, getting your ducks in a row, things will fall into place over time. Exactly like Hussein said, it will take some time. You need to be patient here and, of course, invest time in making friends. Thank you for also pointing that out before. I cannot emphasize the importance of being with people on a continuous basis. Grow your network, you need a support system. And that just does not cover your friends outside work, also your support system within the company. Make sure that you're joining an organization with people that mean and do you well. Or as I like to say, you can make 100K. If the people suck, your life is going to be miserable. And this is why really you want to be assessing them as well. And then things will fall into place. And in our approaching program, of course, we are there for you until you're here and beyond. And Hussein, I just want to really, really thank you so much for making time to remove. It took us some time to actually find this appointment together because I've been busy, you've been busy, and it's nice that you were able to share your experience, especially after such a longer period of being here already. And that I think was really, really, really insightful. Really appreciate your time. We'll be in touch. Yeah, I'm in Berlin once a month for a week, of course. And if you ever be in Neukölln, drop by the office. And I'm really, really grateful we did this. Thank you so much. Everybody out there who's interested in joining our coaching program, if you like, you can watch our video training, for which you find the link underneath this video. You can book a get to know call with us. Paul from our team will reach out, and then we'll see if we can work together or not. And then naturally, this will be the very beginning of it all, just like with this guy. Hussein, it's been a pleasure. Sheer joy. All the best.
I think